looks like a mole, but the area where I got shot at in the dream, that's where it's at.
Hmm. This,
Weird.
this probably actually happened in the past life,
Yeah, that's
and
what I was saying.
you using it in this life as a navigational tool, a divination instrument. So
Mhm.
there's something that you're about to do that triggers the dream, and if you want the right outcome, then the dream served its purpose until you get to the next part where the dream come back again because you're about to
Mm,
make a major decision.
mm,
The impact of the gunshot in the wound is means to be hit with extreme power. So you could be telling yourself you leveling up, or you should be telling yourself you finna meet somebody else that leveled up. Depend on how you perceive in the dream in the event. Because you probably didn't seen it from multiple angles during the course of this lifetime when you dream about it. But it's the same dream.
mm. Man,
So
that's
you was
deep.
telling yourself you was using it. So I always call those ancestors smart as hell because I was too dumb to leave me clues. I didn't start seeing my clues till I was old as hell.
Mm.
But I knew what was wrong. I knew what the problem was. But I didn't know like what I was supposed to do about it or none of that. But
You
as
know,
I got older, then I started dropping me clues. And that's when I started realizing, hold up, something going on here.
mm, hold on, let me see. There was another question that came up.
This one up there now, do we all come from the Olmecs or is that relating to a small group of people?
I can interject on this as well. I know when you talking about Pangea way before the continental drift, a good majority of us we came from West Africa and we migrated to the Americas, but North and South Exum, when you study like the great majority of the Moorish doctrine and the paradigm, it tells you basically like North and South Exum is actually America. So Pangea all in one is, basically, uh, America essentially.
And Mexican, where Mexico come from.
Right.
It's a shortened version. But the Olmec people is the same people as the Inca and the Maya.
Facts.
They just different time frames, different family groups. When you got two chiefs that don't see eye to eye and they can't get along, Big Mama separate them. When she separate them, they go settle in a different part of the land, and she give them their boundaries. This is how you get a territory, right? Now, these people that's Olmecs is the same people as the Inca, the Maya, the Mississippians.
Facts.
They trace these people go all the way into the Amazon basin.
What are you talking
But
about?
we use the word chief because everybody familiar with them referring to our leaders as chief. And every motherfucker they dressed up to look like us and put feathers on, then they call chief too.
And how do practitioners of blood magic process heinous acts? Do they truly see it as like a charging battery, just energy and numb all too else?
They borderline psychopath, sociopath with
Mm,
just enough normal to function in society. The influence of the constant bloodletting, it numbs them to the victim. They will be have an emotional breakdown about their cat, but the
mm,
kid that they sacrificing, it will trigger no emotion. They mama, their sister, or their brother might die, and they might have genuine emotional breakdown. But they victim won't trigger that.
mm.
This why it's like border path, sociopath, psychopath,
Mm.
right? People be using the term narcissist too freely. Narcissist is so rare that they create stories around them because that's how rare they are, right? And this is why they even have a myth called the narcissist. You gotta remember, all of their psychological scripts came from Greek mythology.
Facts.
That means that they're enforced through something called pharmakia.
Magic.
And pharmakia is what? Sorcery
Mm-hmm.
or pharmacy. Would you want to translate it or transliterate it? Right? So when they using those um, methods, they also narcotizing the person that they have do the actual bloodletting. And the blood is going to also narcotize them if they got any good.
Mm.
So they just become numb to the victim, but they functional everywhere else, or appears functional everywhere else. The ones that can't take it, because they fall into the bottom. Very few of them turn into crack addicts.
Mm.
Very few of them turn into heroin addicts. Most of them go into the bottle because alcohol
Mm-hmm.
is the spirit that's responsible to take care of the ones that did the dirt that they can't function with. That's his spiritual function, to console those who fall into the darkness. So
Mm.
what do? Smash them with some alcohol. And then you can use that because in that drunken state, they can't lie because the
Right.
processor turned off. And then you slap their ass on drink tramps and gradually get them drunk, asking harder questions as you go on.
Yep.
This is a cultural phenomenon that's only native to here.
Mm.
We didn't generally drink. And our elders knew that certain elders, what they call the alcohol chiefs, using modern linguistics,
Mm.
they are the drink champs.
Mm.
They the ones who sit around and drink and talk all day and go over the histories and correct the stories while they drinking, but they don't never get drunk. So when your child come in there lying and they
My,
sit him in front of the drink champs, he's gonna eventually get sloppy and tell the whole goddamn truth.
yep.
And, and that's where you get that tagline, a drunk man speaks a sober mind. That come from the original tribal drink. Them boys they reenacted our original culture on
Mm.
drink tracks. You get them a little drunk, they can't hide their feelings. If they want to call you the N word, it's gonna come out.
Right.
But if their heart is pure, it can't come out when they drunk like that. If they don't feel that way, they gotta actually feel that way for it to come out. And that's why the politicians used to get drunk in secret because they
Mm.
couldn't say the stuff out loud for the people to hear it. And
Mm.
somebody invented something called a microphone and a recorder. And then they created these things called spies. And then they start understanding the leverage of blackmail. Then they start understanding the power of a blackball. You will never make another dollar in this town, buddy. You've been blackballed by the black hand,
Yep.
walking around like a black man all the time he called himself white.
Yep.
The story is in the riddles. The riddles is in the rhymes. The rhymes came through from rapping and tapping. Rapping and tapping is the knockback to the knock from the spiritualists in the 1900s to pass the message through the musicians in the 2010s. So
Mm-hmm.
over the course of the development of rapping and tapping, you got from like 1830 to like 1930 was its hey. And hip hop started in the 1970s, and we in the 2020s now.
Right.
So we into the thick of recovering using the music, recovering the rapping and tapping stories that the spiritualists put on the wire back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. But if you don't know what you're listening for, you can't crack the code, right? So when you realize that it's about the union of divine masculine, divine feminine, now you look at all of these people different from a historical perspective, from an unbiased view. And this is why Noble Drew Ali say, listen to the European and make them tell you the truth. But half them niggas was passing.
Mm-hmm.
And we thinking they Europeans. And they
Right.
working for some Negroes that's darker than us called the Black Hand, the Black Brotherhood of Spain, the KKK,
Mm.
right? The Scottish Rite, the Skull and Bone Society of the pirates. And the pirates came to loot the land in search of the city of Cordoba. And Cordoba mean gold in Spanish, which tells us that the people looking for Cordoba had to be conquistadors, the conquering Tudor families,
Mm-hmm.
who was being in exile because they lost the war in Europe in the French Revolution, the Spanish Inquisition, and the Pope gave them the discovery right. The way to redeem all this is by capturing the foundational document. As we systematically unraveled a system by capturing the foundational documents, we liberating the people, but at the same time, the people got to be properly prepared to receive the redemption that's coming. They got to know that let them people fight for reparations because the system is already gone, so they just talking to themselves. There's nobody in DC to pay them nothing.
Mm-hmm.
America is dead. This is a new, just a new sheriff in town. They call him Chief Pontiac. I'm not playing by none of their rules. Everything by tribal rules. And tribal rules is grandfathered in before their first constitution. Before Columbus ever sailed, the oral tradition of redeeming the land has been passed down from generation to generation. It became autonomic. Now all I have to do is read it, and the people begin to see what I'm saying as we put it together. They brain put it together holographically.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call um, feeding them light codes, codes to unlock the inner light. This is what Malachi was teaching us, right? So Malachi, High Priest Melchizedek,
Mm.
was teaching us about how to teach the light codes to the ones that come after us. But you can't teach it till you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand it, and then you know how to flip they codes into the public domain for more people to perceive it and unlock it in their own mind just by what you show them. They don't have to believe you, but the higher self know the truth. So he gonna override your ego self when he get enough truth. Your ego self gonna be like, man, I'm always bullying me. But your higher self gonna be telling your ego self, get your punk ass out the way, man. Don't you see giving me what I need to wake up?
Right.
And by the time your higher self get done whooping your ego self pillar to post, I bet you have a purified ego, and your shadow work would have made it a little bit easier.
Self-realization. Self-realization.
I said, what is the correlation between the next election, Project 2025, and Supreme Court stating that administrative courts are non-constitutional? It's the fall of America.
Yeah, I did a
It's
whole video about Project
yep.
2025.
Yeah, but the real project 2025 is Mardi Gras coast to coast. Because we won, they lost.
Mm.
Now they butthurt. It's too bad. Just don't come to the family dinner with that BS because we just needed an excuse to cut your throat anyway for what you did to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we ain't asking for permission. We don't need no excuses to exercise our sovereign right to do what's right. That's it. And everything has been recovered. The next election, I don't think is going to take place. Okay, when the last time y'all seen Joe Biden? The last time I seen him, he went from 6'2" to 6'8", and then he disappeared again.
Yeah.
Kamala about to drop out,
Why,
right?
why? Why you think she dropped? Why is that?
Because she got too much Haktua in her blood. It's symbolism. First,
Right.
she want to, because Biden they're gonna have to announce that he dead or that they stepped down or something, and then she's gonna have to assume his responsibilities,
Right.
which is gonna interrupt her campaign capabilities. She's gonna have to say, "I got to perform the functions of the presidency until November." Um, I'm gonna be able to do both campaign and cover this base because too much stuff will fall through the cracks, which is true. You can't pull double duty like that. Now, I don't know if they're gonna split her clones into teams and run two this way and two that way and
Right.
try to cover both bases like that, but I don't see another election happening.
Mm.
It just doesn't seem it just don't seem prevalent.
So,
It's like
do you think it's gonna something is gonna what type of event do you think is gonna transpire before that? You know.
it looked like it's gonna be soft disclosure because if they was gonna give it to us in shock and awe, they would have dropped it already. So in the soft disclosure, they'll start showing you certain signs and then they'll start tying them together and then it'll come down to a public announcement by a person that's playing the role of the figurehead.
Mm-hmm.
He had to alert you to the fact that the military in charge, we've been in continuity of government since 2019. The government transition is final. We've drained the swamp. The cabal has failed, and the Earthborn has once again prevailed. You know, some old presidential speech writer gonna put their slant on it and try to sound eloquent.
Mm-hmm. So,
all
so
of
wild.
those all of those celebrities that they haven't come out performing, right? They dragging them out. Right? So what that means is they force them to do something that they don't want to do or lose their career. And they're using them to garner the attention of a certain demographic of viewer. They're
Mm-hmm.
not worried about the old people no more because they said they're gonna die soon anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't worried about the babies because they said they ain't old enough to pay attention to what's going on yet. So they got to trap them between 16 and probably 34. If
Mm-hmm.
they can keep their man distracted with BS that long, they can influence them to follow their narrative. It's just Pied Piper trick. Play
Mm.
the flute, watch them dance,
Yep.
entertain them, right? But just because they use it against us, believe me, some of them celebrities that don't want to be there, they gonna be flipping signs out into the public that's gonna let us know what's going on behind them. And some of us gonna think that they taking sides with those people when they telling it in the open what them people doing using the symbols of the industry,
Mm-hmm. And they
right?
being controlled. they being controlled because they're under the act of parliament. So if y'all do music or whatever, or if you in the movies and stuff like that, when you sign on those contracts, cross out actor and artist and put creator. That'll give
Yeah,
you
you know the DNC been trying to hire content creators to promote camel toe hairs.
oh yeah.
You know that tell you right there who they trying to um, lure in to follow their scheme. Remember this: when you do a voters' rights registration, you sign the contract. You certifying that you're going to represent the interests of the person that you claim party you represent, or the vote that you cast, right? So you choosing sides. That means that you taking part in the fraud. Therefore, you a party to the fraud, and this is how they're gonna shut them down on reparation.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a party to the fraud the whole time. Even when we tried to let y'all go free, y'all fought to stay enslaved. Y'all marched to be enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
You fought for this to remain oppressed instead of accept your own and be yourself, right? Thus, the Antichrist is Judeo Christian mythology. It's
Mm-hmm.
not founded in anything outside a church doctrine of control, right? So when they tell you the Antichrist, they telling you that it's somebody that's going to be either before Christ, which means anti as in predate, or against, which is anti. But if they telling you they against Christ, he's probably going to be the one that's really supporting the Christ.
Exactly. So essentially the your so-called antichrist would be the actual savior to so-called blacks.
Or the one to take all of the heat so that the
Mm-hmm.
Christ can move about unobstructed.
Mm-hmm. And even when you look at it from a surface level standpoint, I always had this perspective because I always thought maybe a woman would be the so-called, not the antichrist, but the messianic figure to
She
bring
is.
about,
It's the Black Madonna.
yeah, to bring about that.
It's the Black Madonna. Well, what that mean is we call her Big Mama. The Black Madonna seat is the sacerdotal seat,
Okay,
and she's carrying the baby, right?
and
The baby,
he's the
that's
heir.
the son. She's a widow, and that's her son, and that's why it ain't no father, and that's why they took the mother out of the Trinity.
Mm, mm. This person
We
said,
go so all of the banks gonna have to fall under the banking jurisdiction of Big Mama Bank. Big Mama gonna have to appoint a banking committee that's going to disseminate resources to all parts of the land globally. In every area, people who know how to set up family banks and family banking committees will also have a chance to be trained by the Small Business Administration in setting up the family bank and how to run the family bank and make it sustainable. So it's supposed to sustain itself,
mm-hmm,
right? And so there's certain things that the families will have to do in order to access their family's wealth. And one of the first things in the top of the list, Big Mama said they're gonna first have to be able to get along. Or I'll just hold it up until they figure it out. So the ones who got family members that you ain't gonna never get along with, and your remedy is to join with the side of the family you do get along with, and that's why you automatically separated.
mm-hmm,
You probably haven't even met the other side of your family. It's probably half of the reason you don't get along with the current family. Because now you don't know how to balance the other half of who you are with this half of who you are. And it makes you become resistant to anything that they're doing. But the real estate market, when the when they finish calling in the mortgages for the mortgage fraud,
Mm-hmm.
everybody who own property right now gonna be locked in right now. That's your property,
Mm.
right? The anybody that because all mortgages is founded on a fraud.
Mm.
The mortgage ever since 1933 two, um,
Was it
your signature was the promissory note of the sovereign for them to access the Federal Reserve to pay the bill. They never told us. So what they did is they use our signature to create something called a charging instrument. And then they went to the Federal Reserve and withdrew up to 90% more than what you took out for your house as the caretaker of the estate that you just drew up. By
Mm.
them not telling you, that's called a withholding fraud. They
Mm-hmm.
withheld a critical piece of information from you that would have allowed you to understand your rights better. Your signature paid for the property.
So you said,
Now they want you to pay them back for buying the property on your behalf with your signature and your money. So now you fighting to pay a mortgage back that's predicated up on the fraud of concealment,
mm.
the withholding of critical pieces of information in the contract that would have made you approach the contract from a different view. And the crazy part is most real estate agents have no freaking clue. But the bankers know.
Mm-hmm. So they basically paying for the shit twice.
Real, if you really look at it, they probably paying for it because they can take like if you check out I get $100,000 house, they can get up to $1 million on that $100,000.
Mm.
And then for if you refi, they get another promissory note and do the same thing from the original promissory note's value. So if you only owe $20,000 on your $100,000 house, you run into problems. So you're going to take out a $20,000 mortgage to pay it off. Then they still taking out a mortgage on a $100,000 property. The value of the property going to remain the value of the property until it go up. Don't go down, right? Because we trapped in the inflation system. And the inflation tells them how much currency that they can withdraw from the Federal Reserve System on behalf of this charging instrument that they drew up in order to finance this property or purchase it on your behalf. Because it's a fraud, the tribal rules will look at each case individual by individual to make sure that the person who purchased the property was not also fraudulent, right? But if everything is on the up and up, like some of these married couples been in these houses for 50 years, now they want to take them from them.
Yep.
No, not gonna happen. That's gonna be the difference in the real estate market, and the real estate agents is gonna be paid different because they're gonna be getting paid a flat rate to perform a different function, and it won't be as many as it is now. So, um, real estate, um, the real estate industry is about to change drastically.
Mm. This person says so.
So, is
Look,
that when the grid is going down? The grid don't have to all go down at once. They can do it in flashes. They
mm-hmm.
call it rolling blackouts, right? Or they can just jam the internet and let the TVs play,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they can jam the TVs and the internet, but let the radios play. All of this is with the technology that we have. That's child's play. A kid can do it from his computer if you allow him to figure out how to write the code, right? So now the grid going down is really when the baton changed hands from the old system to the new system.
So that's
You
your
gotta
next.
have Yeah, you gotta have what's called a notification, a mass notification. And then anything that the people need to be informed of, like why is y'all running this whole political psyop stage show, theatrical performance in front of our face like we don't see it,
Right.
and make it so obvious, right? It's blood in, blood out,
Mm.
right?
So that's basically like that's what you get your. I just did a transmission on that a couple days ago, and I was basically talking about how the processional circle operates on a cosmic clock that's
Yeah,
connected to their debt clock system, which is also connected to the doomsday clock. When they talking about the 90 seconds to midnight, yeah, I was applying
well,
that to the grid system.
remember, we in cycles. When you go back and read the Emerald Tablets, it say we are in cycles within cycles.
Facts.
You use each one of those clocks on the collective in order to put them into a different cycle that they will never see play out in front of them because it's going to happen at the speed of life,
Mm.
right? You have to be able to intuitively experience life as well as experience life experientially in order to marry the two so that you can see the game in real time. It's like realizing you in the game with goggles on. Like you could feel the body of the player in the game when he gets shot and everything,
Right.
but you got the goggles on. You can also move him out of the way of the shooter.
Right.
From when you realize that you're wearing the goggles, oh shit, I forgot I can control this. When you're activating your guide form.
I'm gonna get one more question in because we already at we on here about 3-4 hours, but we it's a good conversation. Uh, says what is recommend black magic is done by the family member closest to them. How should we handle it? So basically, how should we deal with black magic?
A lot of people, you know what? A lot of people didn't try that on me, but your spiritual defenses is activated upon the awareness, and you're supposed to automatically, if you're spiritually intelligent, you will automatically adjust spiritually by changing your physical surroundings so you don't have to interact with that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that comes with the feng shui. It comes with the burning of the candles and the scents to change the frequencies so that all that shit pass over you.
Mm-hmm.
I stay protected. I done had so many big mamas put protection on me. I don't know. I can't even name them all. Some of them I didn't even know their name. And they didn't try. When I was a baby, my mama traveled from church to church getting big mamas to put protections on me, and they didn't all use the same language.
Mm. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Especially during
Some of
this
them
time
spoke
period.
in native tongue, the
Oh.
old Ojibwe languages and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's
Some
what
of them spoke in Creole. Some of them spoke in Pig Latin. I remember all that stuff.
Dang. I said he was tapped in. But yeah, in order, in the future, man, in order to deviate from that, you got to get away from family members who try to supplicate your emotions to where it's basically transmuted into a weakness. So you really just got to use your emotions, just like Rod Hayes said, as a navigation system to level up, protect your own energy.
Normally, you normally know it's an outside influence when your emotion is out of context.
Mm-hmm.
When it's out of context, that means that you got to shift your perception because you're looking from somebody else's angle, not your own.
Facts.
You got to make sure that the emotion is in context. right? Like some people laugh at trauma. A traumatic event happened, and that's the funniest shit in the world to them,
Mm.
right? And some people see the sunset and can't stop crying. The psychology is determining the norm for the individual first. When you understand you have a norm, now you look for what makes the emotion shift. And then you say, okay, was I warranted to be angry because the man behind the counter gave me 39 cents and I should have got 40 cents back?
Mm.
Was the level that I was ready to take it to equal to the value of the penny that I could have just asked for? You see, so the context of the emotion. A lot of guys been with a chick, and chick been with a guy, and their communication is predicated up on out of context emotions.
Hmm. This person said, "How do
I
you talk?"
can.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
Now I was about to go to the next
You
question.
blinked out.
Hmm. I was about to go to the next question. I didn't know if you was finished already, but you can go ahead and continue what you was about to say.
So when I say Big Mama, I had a physical Big Mama on Earth, and I call Prime Creator Big Mama. Prime Creator, you talk to telepathically. Everybody have access to Prime Creator. The women have double access because not only do they access through the interior gyrus like the men on the right hemisphere, they also have what they call direct womb to womb contact through the portal called the womb. So the woman can clasp her hands together, get into a meditative state, put her hands over her uterus, and ask Big Mama anything she wants. But normally she gonna give you the answer in the form of a child.
Mm.
If it's a major thing that you need to change, if it's something minor, she'll just answer it. She'll put somebody in your way with a confirmation for you to know that you're getting the answer that you asked for. That's
Mm.
for the minor stuff. For something major, like if the world need to be changed in a certain way, yeah, she gonna give you a child that's natural born rebel.
Hmm. And you
Just don't
know,
go along with nothing in the system.
and that child's gonna be the one that's gonna break all those generational curses too. That's how it always
Mm-hmm.
happens. That's
Yep.
that's the chosen ones. You know what I'm saying, coming back to revitalize this whole infrastructure. But you know, it was a good collaboration. And for those who still in the chat, hit up, Rod Hayes' Cash App at the SikApe, money sign SIK capital APE, SikApe. Hit his Cash App up. You know what I'm saying? He's been dropping, a lot of information. We've been talking about Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian rituals within the factions of the government, and how it, connects to everything on a metaphysical level. So if you haven't, you just now came in the chat, go ahead and rewatch the video. And I appreciate you guys for tapping in tonight, and I appreciate you, Ron, for tapping in when we're gonna do another one, man. Because next time I'm gonna have a lot more, receipts that are basically applies to the publications, whatever we're gonna tap into next. So
So,
yeah.
yeah. So we can get some shouts out to Drea Talk,
Oh
Sister
yeah,
Drea
yeah.
plugging us in.
Where's she at?
We got lost in communication. We
Okay, cause
were we wasn't communicating between the three of us well enough.
I did. I tagged her in the post, and I was waiting for her to, you know.
Yeah, there was unclear communication,
Oh,
but I was talking to her when you called me.
okay, you should have
You
just told her
know,
to come on the live.
well, she couldn't come without being notified sooner because she got family from out of town.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
You know, so she hosts this drill right now.
okay. So yeah, we need that triangle offense again. 'Cause we the last I think it was like a year and a half ago when we did our first one, right?
Yeah.
'Cause we did it on her channel twice and they removed the video. Yep,
Oh yeah, we was going in back then.
yep.
That was
Man,
the heat up.
I
But
swear.
I'm gonna let her know. So when she get her channel back up, she can have us back on over there. We can
Okay,
drop some more receipts on something over there.
okay, sounds good to me. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming on the channel. You know what I'm saying? You
Oh
did.
man, I can't wait to come on here and chop it up with you, man. That I be just to show the support,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, because like I'm looking, I want people to know all the. It's just not one person doing the work. It's a
right,
lot of us.
right.
Right? And then certain ones just work be so thorough, it just hit me in the heart space. I'd be like, I definitely gotta,
Hmm.
show some love and come show some support and that people see just watching me. Look, dude, nice. So yeah.
That's that's coming from a lot. That's a lot coming from you, man. Because like I said, I've been watching you since like during the time when you first got out. Like I've been following you on. I think you was dropping them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why I started that.
yeah,
Then
you.
they put me in Facebook jail
Mhm.
indefinitely. I was
Yeah,
like, what the fuck is that? Is that even a sentence? So then I was about to say, fuck that. I go over to IG. Then I start doing them over there.
hmm yeah.
And
You ain't never tried to get your own YouTube.
I got a YouTube, but I don't use it because I do everything off my phone.
Oh yeah, you. I forgot you don't care about none of this stuff anyway.
Man,
Like
I hate social media so bad. If it
right.
wasn't for the need that I had to get this information out in the public domain and keep
Mm.
putting these people on notice at periodic steps for certain stuff, you would have never seen me because I would have never been on social media. I hate this shit with a passion.
I know you do because
But
like, a lot of
it was
times,
more it was more important to serve the collective than to just go on and live my life. I had everything I wanted. I was straight. Didn't need nothing else,
hmm
But I had to get it, shed it all in order to turn into the butterfly when I come out this cocoon.
hmm
You know,
and that's
and
that's
talking about some miserable shit.
that's one of the main things that lets me know that this like we really like in a knee deep into the end of the simulation because like it's just so many synchronicities that basically applies to what everything that we was talking about like and man you really just cannot make none of this up like we got this receipts on top of receipts on top of receipts and like you said none of this is by accident, none of it.
No, it's all by divine design.
Facts. But yeah, we
I
definitely
just got
go ahead.
I just developed the skill to learn how to read it
Mm,
from all of the different sciences that handwriting analysis, psychological profiling, criminal profiling, crime scene investigation, and the list goes on and on. And I'm studying because I'm trying to study the people that's studying me.
facts.
I
Yeah,
want to know. It took me into COINTELPRO, took me into studying the history of the CIA, the FBI, the KGB, the Bolshevik revolutions. It took me into all of that stuff because I need to know what's going on because some don't look right on the land that I'm from.
facts. Yeah. So what do you think like what's gonna happen? What you think is next?
Um, I think the fiscal year is going to be the end of the charade. I think by the time the new fiscal year come up, Big Mama Bank should be ready to come online. That's your digital currencies, your Nasara, Jasara,
Yeah,
the SESQ Trust, all that stuff will be opened up, but you're gonna have to know how to access it, and there will be we will have to go around teaching classes on how to access your financial wealth, how to Because you're gonna have to have a family bank to funnel it to have control of your own money. We don't want central banks controlling our money no more.
Mm-hmm.
Every family have a right to control their own wealth. We exercise every inalienable right on the book and in the ethers. That means that even if they forgot about that inalienable right, we exercising that too.
Facts. Yep, because because they do have to turn it into a technocrat system. Because I know that's the end goal. I know that as far as like the Project 2025 manifesto. Some people said it's like it's all it was fake and Donald Trump he didn't create it and stuff like that. But
You
I know
breaking
that
up a little bit, but there.
okay, I'm gonna come. But can you hear me now? Am I
Yeah,
good
it's
now?
cleaning up.
Okay, but I know that
Yep.
the Project 2025 manifesto, like that's like in alignment with totalitarianism. I mean, it basically eradicates the whole perception of the far left and what they propagate through liberalism. But at the end goal, but it's really the same thing. It's the same shit. Actually, it's like they both have the same end goal, but it basically gets rid of the hedonistic activity that's coming from the left.
But you
But
got to
that's
remember, it was there was two sets of plans being worked. If
right.
we lose, we fall under the totalitarian permanent dictator of Earth and live.
Yep.
Restricted will environment. If we win, then all of his restrictive will dictate